right, what's up, bro? Thanks for doing
On.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I just did your podcast a few weeks ago. When was that?
Yeah, December.
Did we put it out yet?
No, it comes
Okay.
out. I was just thinking about that. Let me look because I think you're like 2 weeks away.
Perfect, because I will be putting this out mid-March, and
Okay.
maybe you can do a little promo plug. Be like, go check out Simon's podcast.
Yeah.
Nervous Rex. Let me close this window.
Nervous Rex. That's the name.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
That's good.
Well, it's I'm Jewish and I have anxiety. I don't really think I guess I'm kind of anxious, but Anxious Rex doesn't have the same ring to it. Sure. It's Nervous Rex.
I love that. You're just the right amount of Jew because you're a half Jew.
Right.
Oh man, so you got that beautiful Anglo-Saxon body
Yeah.
with like the, with the Jewish
Well,
mind.
I can't agree with that, but thank you.
With the ill Jewish mind.
Well, yeah, it's funny you said that because like the Jewish mind it's either your best friend or your worst enemy. Like that voice that keeps me up at night, that drives me nuts, is also what drives me. You know what I mean? So it's like it drives me crazy, but sometimes it's a good thing, when it's what it is? It's like it's never. I think this applies to most of Hollywood. Nobody's ever really content or happy. Like it's never enough. Like I was talking, not to drop names, but Mark Ronson told me that when he won the Grammy for Song of the Year, like Record of the Year for, he wins so many awards I can't keep up, but he was saying for 3 days, he kicked his feet up and was like, I did it. I got the Grammy for the Song of the Year. And after 3 days, he's like, now what? And he's a Jew too.
Yeah.
He has that Jewish mind. He's like, I couldn't just kick my feet up and be done. I had to outdo it. So I feel like nobody's ever like can enjoy it enough because you always want more, Does that make sense?
This business especially, but in general, yeah. I think it's just because we have too much time and convenience now.
Yeah.
Because like this was 100 years ago and we were like tending the fields or like exhausting ourselves for half of the day to like be able to get food and like make enough shelter. Maybe it was like, 200 years ago.
Right.
But that we weren't, in the age of like agriculture and modern convenience, so much of our lives are taken care of. Like,
Right. It's real easy.
Yeah.
We got heaters, we got air conditioning.
So we sit with ourselves all day, contemplating our fucking place on this earth.
Yeah, I think we're too in the head, too in the prefrontal cortex, and not enough, which is the neurotic part of the brain, which is like, I got to pay the Woody Allen part of the brain, which is I got to pay my taxes. Why didn't I do this? I wonder, I should have a kid by now. All that shit. It's very hard to shut that up. And I work really hard at shutting it up. Like I do meditation stuff. I'm going to I do all this stuff, and it's very hard to shut my brain up. You know what I mean? I feel like we're wired into this matrix that's so intense. It's hard to like shut down. When I feel like I shut down the most is when I go like into nature and you're kind of humbled by like a beautiful mountain view or at the beach, which is why I moved here, because the beach chills me out. And I feel like it's really hard to get out of the head. Do you have that? Do you suffer from that, or is it? You seem pretty zenned out. You have like a natural chill thing about you.
Thank you. And I've actually gotten that comment before, which is always surprising to me because of how much inner turmoil is going on with me.
Right.
Maybe because I'm sober for a good amount of time.
Right.
So
how long?
11 years.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this before, or did I forget?
Did we?
I don't think so, because I'd remember that. That's a big deal, dude. That's not easy. I'll do like a month here or there just to do it, and it's no joke to deal with your own shit.
It's been an interesting thing, and it works well for me, and it sort of forced me to realize that sort of the jig is up on myself.
Right.
Like, none of the things that I thought were important are actually important, and none of the things that I thought would give me any sort of peace of mind. Like I'm sure you're in the same boat. When you've like filled that bottomless pit with as much prestige and romance as one person can procure. I mean, maybe we weren't doing it on fucking DiCaprio level,
right?
But definitely on a higher level than most,
right?
We were like, sort of like, we were incredibly lucky and fortunate to like have all this experience. And yet I was left 11 years ago when I finally decided to sort of put away the pipe.
Wait, pipe of what, like weed? What was your thing? Alcohol?
Everything.
Oh, really? Okay.
But
because I never hung out with you in that era, so I don't know. I didn't.
Oh, I was a cliche.
Okay.
I was like I was a proper cliche, but I realized that none of it would fill me up. And so it was sort of at that moment when I was like, okay, like this is either like some sort of spiritual fix,
right,
or nothing.
So what was it that was it like a bottom out? Was it something that an event that happened that kind of made you say, okay, time to pump the brakes, or what?
It's so funny because I got sober the day after Valentine's Day. And so people every year when I celebrate like a birthday or whatever will ask me, what was your Valentine's Day like? You know?
Right.
And I always laugh at that because I think nothing good. Like
Right.
I wasn't in any shape or place to be anyone's Valentine.
Right.
Like, it was just depressing. It was just more like I've heard some really cinematic bottom stories of people who were on the train tracks and asked God to stop the train. And when he did, they decided to get sober. And if that's your story, that's dope. It just isn't mine. Mine was just like sort of sad and boring. And also I couldn't like break my mom's heart anymore being a good Jewish boy.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of that Jewish mom enmeshing. Is that the word? Enmeshed?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know, what's that book called? There's a Neil Strauss book called The Truth, an uncomfortable book about relationships. And this book affected me so deeply that I threw it against the wall 3 times, called my mom, got in a fight with her, because it was all about Jewish moms enmeshing their sons and the anxiety and the sort of the pressure from a Jewish mom. And this book opened a lot of that stuff up. And that's where I learned that word enmeshed. And it's the perfect word. I mean, it even sounds like what it is. It's like gluten. Like gluten just sounds like what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it sounds like something you don't want. And it just described to a T.
Makes farts.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
How did enmeshment show itself with your relationship with your mom?
Well, it was like, just sort of like I don't think my mom's the best. First of all, let me just start by saying my mom's the coolest.
We always have to qualify that, right?
It's true. And it's not even that I'm afraid she's going to hear this and, think anything else, but my mom's the coolest mom ever that let me do whatever I want and gave me the freedom to be the weirdo that I am. But there's this sort of, it's a weird thing because I wasn't raised with any Jewish religious stuff at all. I came from a secular home with no religious stuff at all. I don't know the difference between the Torah and the menorah. I don't know which one to light. I don't get it. I don't know much but I have the Jewish DNA. So there's sort of a worrisome, neuroses that we have. And obviously the Jewish mom always is worried about her son, and I'm sure all moms worry about their son, but I feel like a Jamaican mom would be cooler than a Jewish mom as far as just, it's all good, So you sort of feel this overshadowing pressure without them even meaning to do it to like give them a baby and give, you know what I mean? Like, or to, not even to like bring a Jewish girl home, but like to bring the right girl home, all those things, It's weird.
It's an interesting dynamic too. Like I noticed, and my mom was a single mom, but it's one thing that I've had to sort of get over, which I've noticed, and I too qualify that my mom is literally the greatest, but there's a fear-based aspect to her. And I don't know whether that's
Yes. That's the anxiety. It's a fear-based thing. And I watch my mom, always, she gets stressed and worried about stuff so much, and I just want her to relax and be all good. But I think that's just a normal thing. My mom's in New Jersey, Jewish, and I think it comes from her parents who are, it just all kind of comes down the ladder.
Well, when you're persecuted for thousands of fucking years,
you know what I mean?
You get a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love it. Probably everyone watching or listening is like, these Jews.
Yeah, totally.
They're always complaining.
These Hollywood Jews. So where'd you grow up again?
In New York.
Oh, you're in New York.
My mom's from Jersey too.
Oh, really? What part?
Yeah, North Jersey, like West Orange.
Yeah, my mom's from Elizabeth, which is near Newark.
Sure.
So we kind of have the same roots. I grew up in San Francisco, but I spent 5 years living in New York, and I'd always go out to New York. So people always think I'm from New York because I grew up with a Jewish New Jersey mom in my ear, so I kind of adapted that vibration, even though I'm from San Francisco. And I feel like a New Yorker part of me because I lived there 5 years, and I was there when I was there 93 to 98, and that was like the greatest time.
Well, because you were modeling.
Yeah, I was modeling, and I was living and working at MTV, and I was having the time of my life, and I was in my early 20s. And New York at that time, pre-Giuliani, was the Wild West. I mean, there was still pimps and hookers in Times Square. There was, it was madness, but it was beautiful. It was like there was a danger in the air, but it was like, it felt like, I go there now and it's like everything's a Forever 21 store. It's no vibration there. Everything's vibrations, not to sound like a hippie, but everything's vibrations and energy. And the energy there feels flat and dead. And it used to be electric. Your head was on a swivel, but in the best way, you felt alive. Anyway, so I got to experience New York, that last window of time that it was really New York, because I don't think it'll ever go back. How do you go back to that?
I don't know what it is now, and I'm actually headed there on Thursday, and I'll always have a love for it, and there's something oddly refreshing, but I feel like you have to just travel to the outer boroughs to get any semblance of what New York used to be.
Way outer, like deep Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Have you heard of DeFara's Pizza?
Yeah, of
Okay, I
course.
went deep. It was an hour train ride
Was it
from
worth
Manhattan. It was definitely a good slice, and he was there. The old man, Defara.
Who makes
He's the guy.
80 pizzas a day for the
Yeah.
last 60 years.
It's about the experience, and it's definitely you get the corner slice is the move. If anyone's listening and you're in New York, go to Defara's. But I feel like there's a place called Prince Street Pizza in Soho now that is comparable.
It's unbelievable.
That corner slice with
That's
the
my
curly
buddy.
pepperonis, dude, they're the best. I think I
Yo.
saw you on the wall in there.
Yep. I'm
Yeah,
on the-
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
I just
funny.
got on the wall too.
Bro,
I made it.
respect.
Once you're on the wall,
We're doing well.
Yeah, we're doing well.
I love a good dry cleaner wall setup.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But he was actually out here. They did like a pop-up store on Sunset.
way.
A pop-up Prince Street Pizza. But that is such a, I mean, granted, the product is great, but that is just such a testimony to the guy who owns the Prince Street. He and his father sort of started it together. And from what I know was that they had started this pizzeria. It's not super old. I mean, over the last like 10 or 15 years. And the son sort of was like, can I take over the Instagram? Let me handle this.
So that was smart.
And it was
Yeah.
and he just made it so, Insta worthy. And it's crazy how big they've blown up from that.
And they give me free pizza, so thank you if you guys are listening, because every time I go in there, they hook me up with a free slice because they liked Scary Movie 3, and
Dom,
it's the son. Yeah,
respect,
Dom.
Dom.
Yeah,
He's
Dom.
the
Yeah,
best.
they're the best. And so anytime I go in there, I don't even expect it, but I get a free slice. And then it's funny because I took a picture with them to go on the wall, and then they showed me the picture, and and it's funny because I don't smoke weed anymore, but for some reason I looked so high, and I said, oh, I don't want that picture to go on the wall because everyone's gonna be like, look how stoned this guy is. So I need to go do a reshoot. Next time I go, I gotta be like, let's shoot another one and be like wide-eyed and
That's amazing.
yeah,
You
and I wasn't
rejected the
stoned.
photo.
Like I just looked so high, and I must have just been happy. I must have been stoned on pizza.
Oh man,
It's good fucking slice.
I would rather be stoned on pizza than anything else.
I mean, god damn, that's some good stuff. Okay, one thing, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you're like one of the only child actors that made it out with your sanity and like you seem to be quite together compared to a lot of people that grew up. I couldn't even imagine because I didn't get exposed to like Hollywood until I was already a young adult, and even then, it was trying and it was very difficult to deal with. Fame's a weird thing that most people will never understand. It's like fame is a mask that eats away at the soul. Is that the saying? Because it does weird things to the way you interact in the world. For me personally, and I've had a very moderate, small level of success, but enough to where it's like people recognize me, but they don't know from where. And I get in these weird conversations where I'm like in the middle of eating, they're like, how do I know you? And you're just like, I don't want to talk about my resume right now. Just weird. I can't imagine being a kid and having that as a child and ending up somewhat, not affected by that as an adult. Is it just natural for you? Like, how did that happen?
it's weird that I feel oddly lucky that I was fat.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like was this weird governor throughout my whole life where I could never get too hot on myself or believe my own bullshit.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because I always felt like I was at a disadvantage and perpetually uncomfortable and that I didn't fit in, and also like typecast and frustrated because I really wanted to play like a variety of roles and try different things. But as you know, like especially because we're close in age, in the 90s and the 2000s and more so in the 80s, but like the fat kid was sort of relegated to like you were the bully or the best friend.
Right.
Like it was very much that, like Animal House. It was like there was
Right.
the token chubby guy.
Right.
And so it was like very specific and there was a role for that. And I was able to play that well. And yet, yeah, it always felt like I was apologizing for myself at every turn. And also it's weird too to have seen Drake and Josh have this weird, shelf life over the last decade where people now, because it's on, there's no residuals on Nickelodeon. So they replay.
Why is there no residuals?
I don't know, because it's like this.
You guys got
fucked up
Gilligan
contract.
Island? Remember Gilligan's Island? And none of them got paid? Is that
Word?
what-
Is
well,
that
that's
true?
like famous for all of them
Marianne?
being. None of them got paid.
The Professor?
None of them, and
Nobody?
nobody got
God,
paid.
Skipper?
None of them, not even Gilligan. They all got somehow. I forget the story. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know that Gilligan's Island is known to be like the worst deal for any big show of all time. But anyway, so
It's not.
how do you not get residuals?
It's not dissimilar. It's just like a buyout, and it's not.
You didn't know the show would be when you signed the contract. They had no idea the show would be so big.
You're a kid, and and they just had hacked the system. All the kid networks figured out a way to like sort of screw over everyone who worked on the shows, and it is what it is. But because of that, they were able to replay it nonstop. So it sort of had this weird. So like kids that were 6 when the show premiered would then discover it 8 years later when they were 14.
Right.
And
it's kind of timeless like that, huh?
it's weirdly timeless because it's a family show. So it's
Right.
got these themes that'll always sort of resonate. But I'll have friends now, like younger friends who will say like, what was it like to be on this show? Like there was such a seminal part of my childhood. And I always want to say like, well, when we were doing it, we were just kind of schmucks. Like we were like kids that like went to this job and like got treated like, we were just like working actors, but there was no like, it wasn't, how would you, I guess like, it wasn't like being on Stranger Things now, right? Where you do this show that becomes a part of the lexicon and people go nuts over it. And then your life is perpetually different. It was like, no, it was a dope, awesome job that we had.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like you were walking down the street and all of a sudden like people wanted your autograph.
Do you still have the kids who grew up on that? So you have a young fan base, which must be cool because kids are so unfiltered and real. Like I would feel like having kids come up and recognize you and want pictures is kind of a cool thing as opposed to adults. I don't know, like grown-ups get kind of weird, including myself, and they don't know how to socially come up to you. But because I don't really have a kid fan base, I imagine that'd be cool.
It's really dope. And now, I mean, weirdly, they've all sort of gotten older, and yet still, like,
wait, so they grew in life as well. They didn't stay Arrested Development 8-year-olds forever. They grew
sure,
up. Okay.
fair. But like, it's weird how like, in the same breath, or the same day, I'll have a 29-year-old cat come up to me and be like, you were my childhood. And I'll be like, I'm 3 years older than you.
That's so weird.
And then a 14-year-old kid who like just got hip to the show watching it on Hulu. And they'll be like, yo, I love this.
So you worked with Amanda Bynes.
And so did you.
Yeah, there's the connection. I got to work with her when she was, I think she was 15 years old. I did a show called What I Like About You, which was on the WB in the early 2000s when the WB was cracking. Remember, that was like the place to be. It was like the new network. And I got Smallville. They put me on like 4 shows. I did a show called Felicity, a show called Jack and Jill, a show called What I Like About You with Amanda Bynes, and then one other one called like Summerland. And they gave me like, that's when they used to give out holding deals. Do you remember that? So they would pay you to not go to another network, and they'd give you like 6 figures and be like, hey, we don't know what we're going to put you on yet, but here's this amount of money. Just don't go to other networks.
Did you get one of those?
Yeah, I got one of those. And they kept putting me on different shows, and I just happened to like charm the right person. Like the VP of the WB at the time just loved me, and she just put me in all these shows. It was like I never made more money and worked more in my life. It was like a good little window of time. And then the WB fizzled away.
I had such a crush on Felicity.
Oh, yeah. She was beautiful.
What's her name?
Carrie Russell.
She's excellent.
She's great.
She's quite beautiful and very talented.
She's amazing. And, it's funny because at the time, she was the it thing. She just won the Golden Globe for Best Actress the week that I was on the show as a guest star. And I don't know if you remember the storyline for Felicity, but it was about who's she going to sleep with first, Brad or Noel, the 2 main guys. So the whole show was like, every week you tune in to be like, who's she going to end her virginity with? Which character? My character comes along, the art student, and deflowers her. And it was causing such a, like, people were so upset because everyone was so invested in the characters. They're like, wait, this guest star, which was actually really good writing by J.J. Abrams, because that's what happens in real life. It was like, I was the guest star who slept with her. So I had this like intimate scene with her topless, and they had to close the set, and like her fiance was in the trailer jealously waiting for her as I made out with her topless. She was topless and me, and it was like closed set, like where everyone has to leave except the director, the cameraman, and the boom guy. And it was just really weird because like she won the Golden Globe like the day before, and I'm making out with her, and I'm like, I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
What was the energy like on set?
It's interesting. Cool? It's weird. It's like the whole time I was fighting to not get a hard on. You're just like thinking, like, I don't know what your go-to thing is to not get a boner. Like when you get a massage, it's like, I just think about like an old woman taking a shit on an engine. Like diarrhea pouring off a 350 big block. And I kept picturing diarrhea pouring off an engine with an old lady to not get turned on too much.
An overheated engine.
And I think a couple of times I got aroused and I had to be like, I need a minute. And I like made a joke out of it because I'm a human being and she's a beautiful girl and she had a Golden Globe and curly hair. What am I supposed to do?
Oh my gosh, she was radiant. I've had...
She glowed.
Yeah. I mean, I've had sex scenes before where, because if you're a man, you wear like those flesh pouches, right?
Right.
And it's like
it's a good name for a rapper.
Flesh
pouch. Yeah.
But he's a little flesh pouch.
Yeah, little flesh pouch. Yeah, SoundCloud rapper.
But it's really interesting too because I remember I had to do it for this movie, and I literally started working out in the trailer beforehand. Like I'm like doing push-ups and air squats because I'm like trying to get as like perfectly juiced up as I can.
Right.
But I remember like in the moment feeling like I don't think I could ever get an erection while doing this because I was so nervous.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
I felt like I went inside of myself, like it went into my body.
Yeah, it was. Well, I guess it depends on the girl. Like when you're like at the end of the day, once you put everything else to the side, like the camera, the fact that you're on a TV show with the cameras and lights and all this stuff. At the end of the day, when you're like as a human being, you're smelling a girl's neck and the pheromones get it. Like it's just human behavior.
Right.
So I guess I'm not as skilled as you at controlling my emotions
no.
because I wasn't able to do that as much. I kept having to go to the visual of the diarrhea on the engine. But she was really a good sport about it. And Jay, I remember, it's funny because I remember at the audition, I remember going into the audition and it was to read for J.J. Abrams, who's at the time he was blowing up, but now he's a monster.
Yeah,
and so
not anywhere close to what he is now.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was just, that's what broke him, that show. And I remember being in the waiting room and it was to play an art student and there was an actor in the waiting room who actually brought in an easel and a canvas and paint and was painting in the waiting room to get into character. And paint on his hands. And I remember thinking, this guy's either a genius or the biggest idiot ever. I couldn't tell. And he went in just like the tortured artist. And I'm sure they just saw right through it. They're like, bro, the paint on your hands ain't going to get you the job. And then I went in there and booked it with nothing. And I remember thinking, oh, good lesson to be learned. Like that's trying too hard. He was trying too hard.
Do you have any terrible audition stories?
Oh, I got the best terrible audition story ever. You want to hear it?
Please.
Okay. So I was working at, this is the best. I was working at MTV in 1996, 97. And for those of you listening, that's back in the days before internet and social media when the world was, MTV was the only place to go to see what new music was at it. It was the one-stop shop. And Gus Van Sant, who directed Good Will Hunting.
Did I
tell you on your podcast?
No.
I'll finish it.
This is the best, please.
I'll make it brief. So basically, he calls me in to read for a movie called Good Will Hunting to read with Matt Damon. And so I go into this audition, never having taken an acting lesson in my life, no idea how to read lines. And I went in and he had seen me on MTV. He's like, he has the right look for this role. It's like a one scene role in Good Will Hunting about a local bully who Matt Damon beats up.
Right.
And I just one
on
line.
the basketball court.
Exactly. That's the guy I read for. And so I go in and I needed to do like a Boston accent and I don't even know, I was just new to New York and I was, park the car at Harvard Yard, like I don't know what to do. And so I go in there and I proceed to do a horrible audition and he stops me a few seconds into it. It's so bad that Gus Van Sant stops me and he goes, Simon, I have to stop you. This is the worst audition I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, fuck.
And it was okay, because I'm like, I told him, I know I've never done this before. And Matt Damon, I'll never forget, he looks at the ground and tries not to laugh. And I'm awkwardly like, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm sorry, guys. This is new to me. And he goes, don't worry about it. You're not ready yet, but you have something. So I'm going to send you to an acting coach. So he sent me to an acting coach for my own self, not for the role, because they cast somebody else. But Gus Van Sant sent me on my merry path of being an actor. So it ended up being a blessing because his brutal honesty, his candor was beneficial to me, as opposed to when you come to LA and you bomb an audition, like, that was great, thank you.
Right.
At least he was real.
Yeah, I mean, I only have one. I mean, I have a couple bad stories. I've definitely had some where I wanted. Bobby Lee tells this great story about like leaving an audition and he had like a glass water bottle in his hand, and the audition went so poorly that he started beating himself in the head with the water bottle till he bled.
Wow,
like physically bled. But you know that feeling.
God, I know the feeling very well.
There's no, and I don't know whether it's us or the environment or both. But when you walk out and you feel like I fail, not only did I fail myself, I failed them. And
my agents, my
everyone. I've let everyone down. And what am I doing? I knew that I was a fake. And I remember once I auditioned for this thing, and I always had a resentment. It was about the Jewish mob in Miami in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And I had and I remember that I had met with the people that were going to make the show, and I always resented them because the people that they wound up casting, like the father and the two sons who were like the muscles, all like Irish Catholic. I'm like, well, can you get one Jew?
Right.
This, like,
right.
And I remember, so I'm auditioning for it, and they were like, wear some clothes from the period. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like wearing this tight dress shirt, not fucking breathable. This
Right.
fabric is not going to let
Right.
me breathe. And I'm sitting there talking to them for an hour and I start to sweat about minute 11. And now, granted, I'm 22. So now at 32, I would have said, can we turn on the air?
Was this overweight you, or had you slimmed down at this age?
I had slimmed down.
Okay.
But I was so terrified of what they would think of me or to make a stink in any way. Or like now I would have said, Jesus Christ, I'm sweating. It's hot in the air. Like 'cause at 32, what do I
You would have
give a
rolled. Yeah,
fuck?
yeah. You would have used it.
Like I'd be like, what are you worried? And like literally it wasn't even an audition. It was just, let's get to know you.
Right.
So I'm in this hot shirt. It was like the worst color to wear to sweat in. It was like
Right.
a pale pink.
Right.
So like
You could see the color.
one droplet. So I'm sweating. And it goes on for 40 minutes. But my face isn't sweating, but my body feels, well, Simon, saturated.
Right.
I get up and I walk to the bathroom. It looks like I've been in a pool.
Oh man.
I look in the mirror and I'm expecting maybe pit stains that are slightly noticeable. No.
Drenched.
Like the shirt did not have a dry spot except the collar.
I feel anxiety for you right now.
And I'm just thinking that I sat there for 40 minutes and they're like, this poor fuck, his shirt is doused in sweat. And it was bad. It was so bad.
God, I feel like I know that feeling when the sweat drops start coming and you feel it and it takes you out of the moment and you start getting in your head and start doubting yourself. It's all downhill from there. It's very hard to recover from that. I think it's fair to say that the audition process is the hardest part of this whole business, because once you're on set and you're in the environment with other actors and you're in an outfit and you could play, it's easy. But the audition process is a motherfucker, man.
Bad.
It's very intimidating and hard. I think that's what cracks most people. You either can handle that or you can't. This is where it gets really tricky. When you got your fourth or fifth callback and then you're really in your head because you're like, oh, it's down. And I remember when I was up for Scary Movie 3, they're like, it's between you and Ryan Reynolds. And I remember thinking, at least I made it this far.
Right.
Like, I ain't gonna beat Ryan Reynolds, you know?
And is this like, had he done Van Wilder at that point?
This
Like,
is
was he-
well. This was 03, so I'm not sure if he had done it
Two
then.
guys, a girl, and a
yeah,
pizza
he
place.
was like the new up and coming guy, and I
Yeah.
had nothing on him. But at the end of the day, there was a rap audition. In the audition, there was a rap scene, and I grew up listening to rap, and I do rap on the side for fun. So that's what booked me the job, was my ability to rap. And they said he was too white; he didn't have that edge, and they needed someone that could believably spoof Eminem. And that was how I got the job. But I remember it was like 6th, 7th callback, and I'm doing chemistry reads with Anna Faris to see if, you know, I don't know if you've ever done a chemistry read where they
course.
bring you in, for you guys listening, that's when they like you for a role, but they want to see if you and the co-star have chemistry, which is very understandable. A lot of times you might nail the audition, but then you get in the room with the girl and there's no spark, it won't work. Like, that's what A Star Is Born, they had chemistry like a motherfucker. That's what that carried that movie, I
almost
think.
too much.
It was like, yeah, they but it works. It's like, do you remember Moonlighting? Are you old enough to remember Moonlighting?
Yeah.
It was going backwards a little bit. It's like a show where every week you tune in to see when they're going to hook up, but they just had just something.
Yeah,
and you
energy.
can't fake that. It's just chemistry. So anyway, yeah, that's when it gets really. That's when it's difficult to book something when you're on your 7th callback and it's down to chemistry and you just, oh man, I tell people I wouldn't recommend this business to my worst enemy. I tell people that all the time, like, oh, I want to come be an actor. I'm like, dude, nobody's happy.
No.
This business sucks. Like, I've been very fortuitous. I think the definition of fortuitous is not by design. That means like I never planned to do any of this. Everything, it was like the Gus Van Sant story. Everything just kind of fell in my lap and I did it. But I was never like, I'm going to go be an actor or I'm going to be, like, everything just kind of happened. So I always tell people, like, I'm not the one to recommend that. I don't want to be a dream crusher, but this business is a motherfucker, man.
Now, did the Wayans brothers pay you nothing for Scary Movie? Because Anna is sort of notorious for saying how, I think it was like the 4th Scary Movie where she was like, can I get paid a little more?
So
Like,
here's what
it's
happened. They did Scary Movie 1 and 2, and then they had beef with the Weinsteins, Harvey and Bob Weinstein. So what happened was the Weinsteins said, you know what? Fuck you guys. We're doing the movie without you and you're not involved anymore. And we're hiring David Zucker, who did Airplane, Naked Gun,
Right.
Top Secret, the spoof god. So I would have never booked the movie if it was the Wayans brothers casting. As a matter of fact, those guys don't like me. I've had weird run-ins with them because, well, they don't like me now later because I was the lead guy in their baby franchise that they were stripped away from. So what happened was the Wayans brothers got the the whole movie taken away. So it still says on the poster, created by the Wayans brothers, but they had nothing to do with 3, 4, or 5.
But they still got to check.
They still got to check.
Word.
And I'm sure Anna got paid because I got paid pretty decent and she was already an existing, I mean, maybe it's all relative. Like maybe to her, it wasn't a lot compared to maybe other stuff, but I'm sure she got paid pretty good.
She kind of talks about it on her podcast.
Oh, does she?
How like she sort of, puffed up and was like, guys, it's sort of like, I'm kind of important in this thing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
no, you're not.
Now, so I worked with, actually, funny enough, after doing that, the Weinstein Company hired me for a movie called Superhero Movie. Which
you did that?
I did that with your boy.
With Drake.
With Drake, and he taught me a really valuable lesson without meaning to. He was the young star of the movie who played like Spider-Man. I forget who he played. He was like the lead guy.
Yes.
And it was like a spoof of superhero movies. And I played one small role as like whatever Chris Evans' character was in Fantastic Four, the blue suit. I played him, but I remember being on set and your boy was like, I remember him, and I'm not talking shit. This is just what happened, and I get it. I was the same way when I was younger. But I remember he was the lead in the movie, and when you're a guest on a project, you're kind of in their world, and you kind of just keep to yourself, and you don't get too comfortable because you're there for 2 days.
Yeah.
And I remember him being in the transpo van, and we're going to set, and he was like complaining about being at work all day. And I remember, oh man, I was like that when I was his age. I was the guy who was on set complaining, like you will never catch me complaining about being on set. Like it's a blessing. I was actually the guy who would be on set going, when am I going to get out of here? Could we make this a oneer? I'd want to leave the set. I was such a little punk when I was younger. Again, not saying he's a punk. He was just, I remember looking at him being like, whoa, that was me 15 years ago, was the non-appreciative guy on the lead in a movie. And I remember I just was biting my lip and I just want to tell him, bro, you know how lucky you are right now? Like, this is amazing for you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just remember having that moment in the car when he was like venting about being at work too much and me thinking, okay, don't do that because no one wants to hear you complain about I almost got beat up by an extra.
Why?
I was complaining about being at work as the lead actor in a thing, and the extra goes, don't make me jump over this fence and beat your ass right now. Because he was like, they treat extras like cattle. And I was on set being that young dick going, man, I just want to get out of here. They're making so much money on Jack and Jill on the WB, and I'm complaining?
God bless that extra.
Exactly.
I love extras and I love watching the people that are really good at it.
Yeah.
Because they have it down to a science. Because like, listen, it's not, if you're down for that life, which is like 12 hours to like 15 hours a day, you're going to make maybe $250 if you're in the union, which ain't bad.
Right.
Like you're going to have to fake talk in a diner for like a couple hours in a scene. But like the best extras I know love Sudoku. Like they got hobbies. Like
they know what to do. Or back in the days, bringing books before your cell phone, they just read and
so
and
many
know their
hobbies. And they're chilling and they like get snacks. They bullshit a little bit and they're stoked.
I made the mistake of hooking up with an extra once on set, or not on set, but there was a hot extra,
Doesn't
and I got
sound
her
like
phone.
a mistake to me.
Well, listen, the story ain't over. So I know I'm interviewing you and I'm talking about myself a lot, but we're just talking here. And this is great. So I had this beautiful girl that was an extra, and I got her phone number. And of course, like, when you're the actor in the show, you're God. They all want to be where you're at.
Sure.
So this beautiful extra gave me her phone number, and we ended up hooking up. And then I realized, oh shit, she's gonna be at work the next day. So I got to deal with this mess the next day. And I remember her like coming and knocking on my trailer like the next day to come in and hang out. And like extras don't do that. And I just had to be that guy. And I was like, look, I can't do this. This is not professional. And I just remember the look on her face, and I felt so bad. And I was like, okay, never hook up with an extra again. It's crossing a line. It's not professional. It's like, I felt bad.
It's interesting, and I've heard this done before. So I guess this is all insider baseball, but I imagine it would be interesting to some people. So where all the trailers sit, where people do hair and makeup and costumes, is called base camp, right? Mm-hmm. That's where everyone sort of assembles, gets ready to go, and then you get driven to the set where you're going to shoot. And so there's usually a person that mans sort of the base camp that comes and gets you and brings you to makeup. And
like third AD, second AD, something like that.
Yeah, and or like just called a base camp PA.
Right.
And I've heard, and this is like, whatever, it's not good or bad. It's probably not good. But I've always heard it said, like, have a beautiful girl be the base camp PA so that people want to get out of their trailer. To like give them an incentive.
Interesting. That explains some of the pretty ones I've had in the past.
Right. To like chat up some.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I remember working on a movie where this particular base camp PA, and I won't talk about the movie or who or what, but like some like heavy hitters in it, like some really respectable people, famous male actors. And I just remember that this base camp PA spent an afternoon in each of these actors' trailers. Like, I'm pretty sure she knocked down the first 6 people on the call sheet.
Wow.
And I was like, this is a sick business.
Wow.
But I was also like, good for her.
Yeah, good for everybody. She's keeping everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some. I remember I dated Jamie Presley. It was on the same show. It was a show called Jack and Jill. She was my ex-girlfriend, and we dated. And I remember the network had to pull us aside and say, "Okay, guys, we know you're dating. Please respect and be careful of your personal relationship spilling into work." And in that we're both on the same TV show and we're dating, and if we're fighting, it's going to affect work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's not professional. I get it, because they couldn't say you're not allowed to date, but it was like a big deal. I remember we started dating and they had to pull us in for a meeting and be like, guys, we can't say don't date, but please just respect, that other people are working with you guys. And they were totally right, because we ended up having fights later down the line, and one of us would storm onto set or storm off, and it was like, man, we became that cliche actor couple.
There's nothing grosser than that.
God, I'm gross, bro. I've been. Well, I feel like I'm less gross now, but I was gross.
We all have it.
Yeah.
But like when you're on set and you're watching that happen, where you're like seeing that, like what you want to tell them is like, we're at camp. This is pretend.
Right.
Like don't drink the Kool-Aid, but
Right.
you see it sort of happen. And then it becomes like very, it's just like
it's a cliche. I'm a cliche.
Steroids.
So at one point, I remember I think this was around that time, I bought a Porsche. Okay, I was that. I know. Well,
Carrera 911.
I think it was a 911 hardtop convertible, and I remember I was making a bunch of money, and I'm not a Porsche guy at all. And I remember I was like, I test drove one and I had to have it. It was like sexy. It felt like having sex. So I bought it. And a couple months into having it, I pulled up in front of a bank on the corner of Wilshire and La Cienega. And it's a huge mirror. And I saw myself in the reflection in the Porsche, and I was hungover from the night before. And I go, oh my God, I'm the actor hungover in his Porsche.
Yeah.
I traded it in right then for an Audi sedan. And I drove off in my Audi sedan going, this is me. I couldn't help but be an actor douchebag for like little couple moments here and there, like the things I'm talking about. And pulling up in a Porsche and seeing myself, I was disgusted. And to even make it worse, my golf clubs were sticking out of the back because I was really into golf at the time. So I was like,
of course you were.
I was golfing in the Porsche.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
I think we have to have these dreams and these ambitions and these things that we think we want to be, only to achieve them to realize that, like, oh my God,
it's all bullshit.
Be further from this.
It's all bullshit. And we were talking about this before we started recording the podcast. We're sitting in my 1-bedroom apartment on the beach. I had the big house in the hills with the Porsche and all the toys and all the material objects. And at the end of the day, the older you get, the less you need all those things. And for me, like, just little 1-bedroom apartment by the beach, my quality of life, and I got my RV parked outside.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier. And I don't need, it's not a lot. But when you're younger, you feel like you need to, I don't know if it's an ego thing or where it comes from, and you have money and you're balling. I guess you just want to have things. And then you realize after you have them that it's all bullshit.
Yeah, I think I'm sure it's ego. The ego has incredible recuperative powers.
Yeah.
So even when you get beaten down, like, give it a couple days and like your ego will start talking to you. But I don't know. I heard Russell Brand say something to the effect of, like, from a young age, he was seeking God, but he didn't know it. So he was seeking God in like a new shirt. Or getting that girl's number.
That's interesting.
Or a new part.
Interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. And for me, I totally identify with that. Was like, what from the outside world can fill me up? And I tried for so long. And then if you're pragmatic and not delusional, and as you know, like, there are people like us who can, like,
wait, sorry, pragmatic means grounded. What is pragmatic? Realistic?
Yeah, like realistic.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in the sense of,
you have an extensive vocabulary.
hey, thanks.
Yeah.
All that
not to be obsequious.
On-set tutoring. Nice.
Yeah.
Obsequious. But like, it's just an interesting dichotomy.
I like where this is going.
Because I know a lot of kooks who are in our position that never will have this conversation. We'll never be like, listen, we've had like more success than most. Maybe we'll never attain the success we want. Maybe we will. But inevitably it won't fulfill us. Like we
Right.
got to be happy now, and whatever happens later will just be icing. But I know a lot of people my age who are just like, nah, bro, like you're bugging. Like you having a wife and a kid right now is like taking up too much of your attention. Like you got to stay fucking on your grind. And
But you do. You're not on your grind. You stay.
no, for sure. But like it's all within reason.
Right.
It's not like this blind, insane ambition where
Right.
it's like
You're not
it's-
delusional,
It's all
yeah.
that bullshit Instagram culture of like fucking hustle your face off till you can't hustle anymore. It's like I would rather have a fully fleshed out life
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not attain these insane heights that we see.
Well, and I don't want to say you peaked early because I don't think you're close to being done. I could see you'll be working forever, but like I could only imagine juggling. Like, how's it being a dad? First of all,
Great.
yeah, good.
So fun.
That's amazing. I was looking. I checked out I unfollowed everyone on Instagram because I had a breakdown one day, and I'm like, fuck everybody. So I unfollowed everyone, including you. I'm sorry.
It happens.
And it happens. So I follow 0 people, but I'll search and check in on my friends and see how they're doing. So I checked your page, and you had a really funny picture. It was your baby, and I don't know who the woman was. Maybe it was a name like I dare you to name 3 better people or something like that. I don't know
Yeah.
who the woman was.
Yeah, cheeky.
She seems cool.
Yeah. Our housekeeper. She's
Well,
the best.
it was like a little
Yeah.
window in on your life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it looked really cool. And you look so happy. You're beaming with, yeah. Oh, look at that little rascal.
Come
so what's
on.
the kid's name?
Max.
So it's a male baby.
Yeah, male.
Okay.
It's a man.
It's a man. He's already a man.
Yeah.
Max. That's a great name. You know, I remember my mom had a boyfriend when I was a kid who didn't like my name Simon, so he named me Max.
Really?
Yeah. He was like a creepy stepdad guy or boyfriend, and he was always call me Max. I'm like, that is a cool name. It's a good name.
You're like, I'm 12. You can't rename
Yeah,
me.
you can't just rename me when you
Right.
wanted a kid named. But Max is a cool name. And
That's like the height of disrespect. Like, I'm not
Right?
gonna even call you your name.
you know what I mean? Like
You're
looking
Max
back, what a
to
piece
me.
of shit thing to
Yeah,
do.
fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. So Max, so any other kids on the horizon, or is this you just kind of taking that one day by day?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine I'll procreate more,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like my wife likes, she's one of 4, and I'm an only child. So
Oh, dude, if we talked about this, me too. I think that's
Yeah.
a lot of our condition and maybe the way we are because we're only children. It's a gift and a curse. So you do
Yeah.
want him to be an only child is my point.
No, not at
okay.
all.
You want him to have siblings.
especially because I grew up such a hypersensitive kid, and I
Right.
don't know whether I would have had that regardless, but it was because my mom, I noticed, always treated me like a grown up because I was the man in the house.
Right.
And so then
Interesting.
when I was around her friends, because like, you're a single mom, you're not going to leave your kid at home. So I would just go be around her friends and have my Game Boy, but like kind of chime in on a conversation here and there.
Wow.
But her friends were never busting my balls. They treated me like as much of a peer as they could treat me. So then when I would go to school or be in like contentious environments where like shit gets a little bit hard, I would crumble because it felt too extreme to me. Whereas my wife can just like brush it off because she's like, yeah, I grew up with 3 siblings who like broke my female balls for like
Right.
my entire life.
Right. And you never had step siblings at any point?
No.
Okay. See, I had the step family, so I knew how to share my toys, but genetically I was the only child. So there's, that's a deep connection with a Jewish mom and her only child. That's
Yes.
another going back to the enmeshing. I think that's a big part of it is that you're her everything.
It's specific.
You know what I mean? So that's great, man. Yeah, I want to have a kid one day, and I could imagine having more than one as well. Being an only child, I would want to have a couple. I would want to have them. It's almost like when you get not to compare human beings to dogs, but when you have a dog, you almost want to get another dog so they have someone to play with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it gives them a better life.
I love Bill Maher has a joke when people start having too many kids, and he's like, if they were cats, you'd be called a hoarder.
Totally.
Like, yeah.
Totally. My mom told me once when I was a kid, because my father left when I was 2 years old, so I was an only child in San Francisco, my mom's, and she said, I don't remember any of this. I was 2 or 3 years old. She said, this is deep. She said, one time she came into the kitchen and I had the refrigerator door open and I was peeing in the refrigerator, and it was almost like a dog claiming his turf. It was like this weird reaction to like being an only child with no dad figure around. And she said another time I came and stuck a thumbtack in her leg and I said, it's your fault daddy's gone. I don't remember saying this. And the best one of all was, not that that's good, the best one of all, I said to my mother, I'm the man of the house because I have a penis. And she said, where the fuck did you look? You couldn't have regurgitated that. Like, you came up with that yourself as a 3-year-old child. Like, how did you put that together? That's some deep Freudian, like,
So dramatic.
crazy shit.
Wow.
I said, I'm the man of the house because I have a penis. Like, it's like a sexist comment as a 3-year-old.
That's amazing.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Pissing in the fridge. Like, I was acting out, you know?
Yeah, I used to piss behind my door.
Really?
Yeah, my bedroom.
We're just
on carpet.
animals. We're just, oh God, that's a
it's so
horrible thing to do.
disgusting. And I don't know why I did that.
Yeah. Well, how old were you? Was it acting out?
Too old.
Yeah, too old? You were 27 years old?
Last year. I was like 10.
Yeah.
I was old enough
To know what you were doing.
Yeah, and I remember my mom, like, it started to reek, and like my mom being like,
Oh,
there's an animal getting into the house.
I hear the sound of being on the carpet. That's a horrible thing to do.
I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, you're acting out.
Somehow, like, I don't know if it was just like, I've heard this about my friend's kid, who I will go nameless because I won't shame you on Simon's podcast, but like an 11-year-old kid who sleeps in diapers because he's just too fucking lazy to get up in the middle of the night.
That's why I kind of fault the parents for that. And it's like when you see a big ass kid in a stroller that's hanging out,
Yeah.
you're like, come on, like, get it. Like, I would never tell anyone how to raise their child, but you got to, at some point, get them out of the stroller.
Or when people breastfeed like 4-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
I have seen that.
It's hectic.
Yeah, that's
about the mom. That's not about the kid.
Absolutely. Yeah. God, there's it's I saw once in New York a woman bathing her child in a public pool with soap.
Sick.
Yeah, that's some New York shit.
Solid.
Yeah, that was pretty rad actually.
That's
amazing. I don't fault her for that one. That was probably just an economic struggle or something, but it was definitely interesting.
We like the fountain water at Washington Square Park.
Yeah, right.
Better than the fountains in Central Park.
So how did you when you lost a bunch of weight dramatically and now you're a fit young man, what was there like a health route? Did you get on some type of program? Was it a diet? Would you go keto? Would you go vegetarian? What was your little jam? Just a little
I've
synopsis.
actually been contemplating this. Is keto just Atkins for today?
I don't want to answer that because I don't know.
You're not a specialist?
I'm not a specialist, but I know that I was just using it's just a name that popped in my head.
But like,
I don't know.
Remember, like Atkins got so over the last couple of years, like took so much shit because they were like eating unlimited amounts of bacon is insane, and yes, it is. But now keto, like people are like, I'm gonna put butter in my coffee.
Right, I do that. I'm a coffee butter guy, high fat,
and I'm like, that's ill, like dope if you get your body to run on it.
Right.
But isn't this what like Dr. Atkins was talking about for like 40 years?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure it's just like an evolution of it or just renaming it for the next, for people. I mean, look, there's so many. If there's one thing I did learn, because I have a friend who's a nutritionist expert who studied under Paul Chek. Paul Chek is like the guru of all health stuff. And he's like the one dude that I would like go to learn about basically health, nutrition, exercise, all that stuff. He's like the god. He's like Laird Hamilton's nutritionist. He's Danny Way, this pro skater guy, broke his neck and he went to all these top surgeons, and Paul Chek was the guy that fixed him through like homeopathic. Like he's just the man. Okay. Well, he said something interesting that I always remembered, which was, look, at the end of the day, if you exercise in a day, if you exercise one day, that's the day that you want to eat meat, grass-fed, wild salmon, whatever the quality of meat, it's okay to eat meat on those days. But if you're just sitting on an airplane all day or sitting at your computer, just eat veggies and salad that day because your body won't burn those. You don't need the fats and the proteins if you're just sitting around all day. And that one really stuck with me. And he said you want to mix up your meat. Like one day, go chicken, next day eat, steak, next day fish, like mix it up. Your body wants that. It's better for your body to have, so don't eat like steak every day for a week. You know what I mean? Like, so those are the two ones that stuck out to me the most, that made sense. Cause you just hear so much bull. I don't know what to believe. Like one article you read, coffee's bad for you. One it's good for you. I never really know what to believe, but Paul Chek, for you listeners, check him out. Cause he's like the God. I really trust him. Makes sense.
I really think your body tells you what it likes and what it doesn't like. Like I'm getting older and I'm a Jew. So like my body's like dairy, meh.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love this.
Right.
And like certain things, like I used to love, one of my favorite indulgences, even like after I lost a bunch of weight, was like just fun size candy bars, like a little Reese's cup,
right,
or like a little pack of M&Ms, like a little Snicker. And now at like 32, it doesn't even taste the same as in how I remembered it tasting. And I know that like, and it's bad because you know what I supplement with now after a meal, instead of eating something sugary, which I love to cap off a meal with, even if it's just like a bite, I'll eat a piece of Nicorette gum. because it's like smoking a
Did
cigarette.
you quit smoking? Is that how you even got into nicotine?
I did smoke a little bit, but it was more it's just like that little hit of nicotine, like the way that people smoke after they eat. That little shot makes me forget about having something sweet and like just not hungry anymore.
Interesting. Nicotine gum or Nicorette, I tried. It made me feel nauseous.
No, that's how you know it's working.
Yeah.
You got to work
but I
through
didn't like
that.
It felt really weird. Like, I'm like, this is fucked up. Like, I felt like I was going to throw up, and I would just do like a tiny corner piece sometimes. And it just didn't agree with me. But yeah, I think everyone's different. You're right. I think also every single person is different. So it's pretty specific what some people, would work for some than others.
I love Mediterranean food. Shawarma, kebab, beautiful. And they do this thing. I love it. They do like a garlic spread with it, which is like, I think it's just like slow blended oil and like straight garlic cloves. But for sure, no matter what, when I am finished with that meal, which I eat like 3 or 4 times a month, I got so much agita that
what's agita? The itis?
Yeah, I got so much itis. Like that garlic is so acidic in my stomach that I pay for it for like 16 hours after.
Right.
So I'm like, and if you think about garlic, like it's almost medicinal.
Oh, absolutely. What do you mean? Whenever you feel, I eat raw garlic all the time. It's great. It is very medicinal. It's great for you.
And so I'm like, maybe this level of pure, straight to the vein garlic, just my body's kind of like, Josh, we're not feeling great here.
Yeah, you just need to listen to your body, and the older you get, the more you start to learn that stuff. When you're young, you're just a garbage can, and you could just eat anything, and it doesn't matter. And then you get older, and you start having reactions to stuff. And that's exactly it. Like when I read shit online, I'm like, dude, everyone's different. There's no like blanket statement you could say for one type of diet for everybody. But I do notice that the older I get, the more I really do just feel better eating healthy. Like I just feel better, And it's like, dude, you do want to eat, like it's a last resort to eat like McDonald's. You have to be in an airport on a layover stuck for like 16 hours with nothing else to eat like McDonald's. And once you start eating healthy and you eat that, you feel it. It feels horrible. You know what I mean? Do you ever notice like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I interviewed Laird Hamilton, and I don't know if I could ever get to the place. I remember asking him about his nutrition, and he said, listen, he's like, I was just in Italy. He's like, and I had like some beautiful pasta there because you're an asshole if you go to Italy.
Of course, you got to live life.
He's like, and this was like summer. He's like, I couldn't maybe count on one hand how many times I've had pasta this year. And I'm like, oh my God.
He's not human though.
He's on another level.
See, this is where I draw the line. Like, look, I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule. 80% healthy, 20% enjoy your life. As far as even eating, like you can eat healthy and it could taste good. It doesn't have to be boring food. But if you're not in Italy eating pasta, you're a fucking idiot. Like you have to live life. You know what I mean?
But like I might also enjoy a pasta dish in my local cheesecake factory on a Tuesday.
There you go. So okay, if you're stuck on an island, what's the one? If you had one food genre. What? You have an answer?
That's hard. I mean, I would probably do like Italian.
Yeah, I was going to say, you seem like I could see you doing Italian. And it's also, if you think about it, if you're on an island, fuck it, right? I mean, you wouldn't do seafood because you're on an island, right? Yeah. You maybe go Italian, maybe Thai, maybe get a little spicy after a while. It's a tough question. I mean, Italian is the most comfort food of all, I think.
Oh, man.
I like sweat. I like eating food that makes me sweat, like a habanero, habanero pepper in my Mexican food, or like some Thai with a chili paste. I was just in Bali recently, and I made the mistake of ordering. They're like, I ordered Thai food in Bali, and they were like, do you want it regular spicy or Thai spicy? And I'm like, Thai spicy.
Yeah.
And they're laughing, going, all right. Dude, I was dripping, like nose dripping off my nose into the food. It was so good. I mean, so hot. I had to, the next dish came out. I'm like, make it like normal spice, not Thai spice. I couldn't handle it. It's too much.
But have you ever been in a position where like you've never had a gut? Right.
For the first time I'm just skinny, dude. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, it's just my body type. I don't know.
I'm fascinated by that. And granted, I don't want to like overstate because I know like certain thin people, it's a whole plight in and of itself to not be able to put on weight when they want to. But like, there's just I think speaking as a formerly chubby guy and as a person who will never quite have like, in quotes, a perfect body, the skinny person experience is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
To just like wake up and not think, to be able to whip your shirt off and not think twice, or to look good in clothes because clothes are cut for skinny people.
Yeah, that's, I guess I'm just lucky, man. I don't know. Like I've always just been skinny and I could work out every day and eat all this stuff. And I remember in the past, like trying to bulk up and I just can't, it just doesn't work. But I am noticing for the first time that it's starting to drop a little. I'm 44 and a half years old. I'm like 10 years old. Who adds the half in your 40s? And I'm noticing for the first time, like when I sit down, I feel a little full, but it's very minor, but I feel for the first time and that's it. Like I just feel a little fold over.
Yeah.
Like when I buckle a seatbelt or when I sit down, I feel for the first time a little midriff action, but it's nothing. I'm just skinny.
What's going on? You still dating that girl?
No, we broke up because long distance relationships are very difficult.
Canada, right?
Yeah, she's Canadian. She's a great person. And we're friends and we're all good, but it was not working out because it was so extreme. Like we'd go from not seeing each other for 2 months to at the hip 24/7 for 2 months and back and forth. And it just wasn't a healthy balance. It was a little extreme. So we both made the adult decision to say, what are we doing? Because it kind of sucks, man. Like, you finally meet, well, I've had great girlfriends in the past, but I met a really sweet, amazing girl and we couldn't be together because she didn't want to live in LA and I don't want to live in Canada. I mean, I do like Canada, but I wasn't willing to just drop everything and just move to Canada to be with a girlfriend, and she didn't want to just come to LA because she doesn't like LA, which I understand. So it just didn't work out.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. It's all good. It was a very mutual understanding adult breakup that we had.
What's your worst breakup?
Ooh, God, which one? I've had some bad ones.
Really?
Let me see. Geez, that's a great question.
I can imagine. What was it like breaking up with Jamie Presley?
That was, I remember, I never forget. I remember walking away from her house and her yelling at me with her Southern accent as I was walking away. And I just felt like this deep feeling of freedom. And because I'm an only child, I think that has a lot to do with it. I'm so used to being alone that when I get into a relationship with somebody that's very demanding of time and energy, that I freak out. And it's like, I need to work on that. But I get a little like the walls are closing in and taking on another human being and all of their, isms is a big deal. It's a lot of work. And it's just, I don't think I want to date an actress again. I have nothing against Jamie. She's great. We're friends now. But that was, it was just a very tumultuous relationship. It's a good word, tumultuous.
Tumultuous is good. And I don't know how actors and actresses date at all. And
because they understand each other. They understand, but it's...
I mean, I get it. How should I say? I understand the attraction.
Right.
I don't understand why, like with any sane mind, you would enter into that thinking that it was going to be anything more than like a great couple of months with hopefully some good pictures.
Jamie Presley, I'll give it to her. She was smart. I booked a movie once that was called Karate Dog. That was a Oscar nominated. I'm just kidding. It was a movie for kids that was about a dog that does karate, and I was the main cop in it. And there was a beautiful girl that was cast to be my love interest. And Jamie Presley, I was dating at the time, goes, you ain't going to Canada for 3 months and going to be on set with a beautiful actress. I know how this will work. That's how her and I met. So she called her agent and called the producer of the movie and goes, I want to play the girl that's Simon's love interest in the movie. And she didn't need to stoop to the level of this film. She was already way further in her career than I was, but she did the movie just so she would be sure that I wouldn't hook up with some other girl. Yeah.
And they had already cast
and they were girl? Already cast the girl.
They booted her?
They booted her.
Damn, that's bad karma, Jamie Presley.
I know. But she was smart. I give it to her. She knew that like, it's just life. It's just the way it works. You're going to be on set with someone for 3 months. Things might happen. So she took it upon herself to put herself in the movie. And I never forget the producers like, oh my God, we got Jamie Presley now. All out of that insecurity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jamie Presley's like, I could say that dog does jujitsu.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Man, that was... she was smart because I'm not saying I would have cheated on her and hooked up with some girl, but it would have been...
You might have cheated on her.
I might have cheated on her with some girl in Canada. Sure. And this is before cell phones and internet. So back then you could get away with anything. Nowadays, forget it, man. It's like you're forced to be honest in this day and age of social media and technology. The player card has been revoked. As my friend Too Short, the rapper, told me, he's like, yeah, man, those days are over. Like you can't be a dog anymore.
No.
It's just, it ain't going to happen. And that's fine. I'm at a point where I don't want to be a dog anyway. But if I was young right now, like I see all these guys that I know that are younger, they're just getting fucked up on Instagram and social media. Like this one guy I know who works down the street at the shop, he was like, man, my girl, I don't know how she did it. He's like, I was hanging out with some chick in Pasadena and she's like, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm in North Hollywood. She's like, are you sure you ain't in Pasadena? He's like, how the fuck did she know? He's like, she must have traced my phone. Like, the technology, you can't do anything anymore. You're forced to be honest.
It's a very incestuous, weird business to be in. Like, and I feel like everyone is
very small circle. It's like high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
And granted, like male and female alike, I feel like everyone can be guilty of this. It just so happens that in my experience, there was one particular actress who I was working with who I remember like meeting her, and we were, we only had a couple scenes together in this movie, but I had a hard time, I don't know if warming up to her is the right word, or just like interacting with her, because I knew of 5 different friends of mine who she had slept with. Like before I even met her.
Yeah, that changes everything.
It just totally shifted the conversation. And granted, like maybe there's like a double standard, and if it was a dude, like I wouldn't, I would
be high-fiving him or something.
I would have been like fist bumping him. I think I'd probably be affected by that too if it was a guy. But like it just so happens that this actress, it just was like, I just felt weird. Like I almost like couldn't look at her in the eye.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a weird. Is it that we're being too judgmental? Because why? Who are we to judge? Maybe it's okay to be a sexually active person. Who cares? But I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It's because I knew all
judgment.
the people. Yeah, because like I had been friends with all these people, and like they all knew you in this intimate way.
Yeah.
That's why I say I don't think it mattered whether it was female or male. I just didn't know how to like. It was like all like I had met your baggage before I met you.
Right.
And so it was just challenging for me to kind of give her a clean slate.
Yeah. I know. I gotta, I tend to do that too, but I'm nobody to judge anyone ever. So whenever I catch myself doing something I'm like that, I'm like, dude, stop. Like, who gives a fuck? I also think that, like you said, it's very incestuous, small circle here. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone's in each other's business, and everyone's talking. It's really like high school. It's like it's almost a parallel in that the amount of people too in the scene is like the amount. It's like a few hundred. It's very small. It's only a few hundred people really that are working and. A lot of people come here to make it, but really there's only a small circle that have made it into the fraternity or sorority, or however you want to say, to be in the scene. You know what I mean?
And have you heard of actors who I've worked with, some really beautiful actresses who would tell me stories about like very famous, legit, like, male leading men that I just said that twice, who would have their agents reach out and say, I want to take so.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know girls that I've dated that said that, so-and-so had their agent call me to go on a date. It happens all the time.
Fascinating.
I guess when you got that much power and clout, when your name has that much cachet, you can get away with that.
I guess so.
Interesting. Because it's not really a two-way street. It's not like, Charlize Theron is having her agent call me up, you know what I mean? Like
that would be amazing. What if you got a call when this podcast was over and your agent's like, Simon, I got something crazy for you. And you're like, what? Like, what are we doing? And he's like, I got a call from Charlize Theron.
Oh yeah. I'd be like, where am I meeting her?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And what if she wants to meet you at Cha-Cha Chicken.
It's right here on the corner.
Close.
Yeah. I would be in love with her right away. She's one of the few ones. I don't know her. I don't have any stories on her, but she seems like a cool chick, doesn't she? Like she just has something for an actress that she just seems like she'd be fun to hang out with.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't. When anyone is that famous, I'm reticent.
Weird.
Having nothing to do with Charlize, I'm sure she's lovely, but like when anyone has attained that level of celebrity,
reticent,
yeah, I'm like
hesitant. What does that mean?
Hesitant, like
your vocabulary is amazing,
my man.
Yeah, you read a lot.
I tell people I do.
What's the last book you read or audiobooked?
I'm trying to think of what. I'm in the middle. I'm reading Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential.
Oh, I read that. Or I'm lying. I audiobooked it. I listened to it. But he talks on it, so it's good. Very interesting.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. I'm a big podcast guy, though.
Me too. That takes up a lot of time. Remember before podcasts, like driving anywhere was a pain in the ass, and now driving somewhere, you're like, 45 minutes in traffic, podcast.
Exactly.
It becomes your own little bubble of time to listen to it and learn. I do a lot of audiobooks too, audiobooks and podcasts, but there's so many coming at you all the time. It's hard to keep up, you know? Like there's so many good ones. It's like, how do you find the time? That's why when I go on road trips, that's time to, listen to some podcasts and some audiobooks.
I feel like I'm joining my friends.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me your top 3 podcasts you listen
to. What am I listening to right now that I really like? I'm trying to think of like what.
Is there one regular one?
I like Bobby Lee's Tiger Belly. I've been listening to. I gotta start listening.
He's so funny, man. What
he's really funny.
He's not normal.
He's
so
crazy
honest.
Funny.
His openness to talk about his situation as a child and all the things that happened to him is so awesome. Like
he's so frustrating because
Yeah.
like even in his mid 40s, like, and he's unabashed about it. Like he's like, I wake up at 3 PM and I want to be like, Bobby, get it together.
Yeah.
Wake the fuck up. But
he's almost like Jewish. His
Yeah.
mind works like a neurotic Jew,
Yeah.
He goes on these tears. Like he just, oh man, he's got so much energy.
do you like Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan
Mark
has amazing
Maron?
guests. Yes, Mark Maron. He was like my segue into podcasting was Mark Maron. Rogan has amazing guests, and he's great at interviewing. And I like his podcast a lot. I've got turned on to so many interesting people from his podcast.
Yes.
So you find someone, read their book. That's what I think he brings to the table is amazing conversations with people you would have never found out about.
So with this pod, are you going to have people on every week?
Yeah, the plan is to put it out weekly for now. And you are my first chronological guest. I'm not sure when this one will air, but you're my first guest. And
I'm your first
yeah,
guest?
you're my first guest.
Wow.
Yeah, bro.
Yo.
But I don't know if this will be episode number 1.
You don't have to, listen, you want to get some bigger star power than me to debut it. Listen, I debuted mine with Stamos.
Yeah,
I
did
get
you?
it. You got to go in heavy.
Yeah, you got to go in heavy. So I'm pulling up all the favors.
If you
I'm just
put up
hitting
Rudy fucking Mancuso
you know
before
what I
me,
mean?
I'm going to be upset.
Yeah,
But-
I think you've earned a little more clout than Rudy, but Rudy does have more. Does he have more followers than you?
Probably. He kills it.
You kill it on it. Okay, let's end it with this. You've been savvy enough to be playing in the game of YouTube, Vine, Instagram, which you didn't need to do that. And the same goes for me. Like I just saw it as a great tool and a fun toy, but you were always murdering it on Vine, Instagram, and you were already an established celebrity. Not too many people did that. I think some people I remember telling Nick Swartz and like, you got to get on this Vine shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not giving up my gold for free. Fuck that. And I saw it totally different. I'm like, I disagree. I think it's a great avenue to explore characters and play and have fun and make people entertained. So you did it very well.
Yeah, it wasn't pre-planned in any way. It just revealed
Fortuitous.
itself. Yeah, exactly.
See,
right.
we're learning words.
It revealed itself to be something that made a lot of sense. And having grown up in the business in a very specific way where you're sort of at the mercy of so many things out of your control.
Right.
The idea of controlling your content, making it and distributing it, and as fast as you could think of an idea and shoot it.
That's magic,
powerful.
man. It's magic.
Really powerful.
The best response that people get from me is the shit that I created. Do you know what I mean? Like the silly characters that I just would put up, people really seem to connect with them. And there's the psychology of breaking the fourth wall that's very personal, that you're in someone's pocket and they could open it up and you're looking at them going, hey, there's something psychological about that that's really different than being in a movie or a TV show.
Yes.
So I noticed that the response is really different from people that only, like people still come up, you're the Vine guy. Like that's all they know from me. And it's a different interaction than I get from someone that saw a TV. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting.
For me, it's been an exercise in letting go of the ego portion of it, where Mark Maron talks about early on in his podcast, where people would come up and say like, I love the podcast. And he'd be like, well, I'm a comedian.
Right.
Or like he would like qualify it.
Right.
And same for me, when they would say, I love Vine, I'd be like, well, I'm an actor. And then if they'd say, I love Drake and Josh, I'd be like, well, I did this movie, The Whackness, that one Sunday.
Right.
Like, I was always qualifying it. And like now I'm just happy that anyone likes anything I do.
Well, I think human beings like to put people in a box. I think it's very easy to label someone like, oh, even people when they meet you, they're like, what do you do? They just want to put you in a box, and that's all that you are to them.
Right.
As opposed to being someone that does music, film, television, whatever the fuck, social media, like writing. People just want to label you because it's easy. So I think that's what human beings do. It's just a normal thing, and especially in LA, like people don't really say, how are you? They're like, what are you working on? They just want to know what. It's a weird thing.
I don't go to those parties anymore.
Yeah.
I don't subject myself to that, to
Well,
having to like feel bad.
I'm going to end it with a little Hollywood story about myself because it's just funny to me. I was at a Hollywood party the other day,
Cute.
and Leonardo DiCaprio rolls up on me. I see him across the room, and I know him, but we're not boys, I know him. And I see him with his hood on all tight, and it was at this very like house party for the Super Bowl. And he sees me across the room, and I see him smile and beeline it across the room. And at this point, the whole room shifts energy because it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's the biggest movie star in the world. So all the women's body language turns towards him, and all the guys are like, everyone wants something from him. So he beelines it across the room, and I'm like, is he coming up to me? And he's smiling ear to ear, and he's got his hoodie on all tight, and he goes, hey man, I just got to let you know, your Instagram gets me through the day. And I go, shut up. I go, you don't follow my Instagram. He goes, bro, every day I check your Instagram. I refresh the feed. Your Tweaker Rodrigo character is the best thing on the internet. You're killing it. And hugs me and walks away. And everyone's like, what was that about? I'm like, I guess he follows me on it. It's just so funny that like the biggest movie star in the world is following my Instagram to see Tweaker Rodrigo, one of my characters, and this guy just won an Oscar, and he's like talking about my fucking meth character. Like, what is going on? What bizarre world are we living in?
Man.
But it was such a compliment, and it's just shallow to be like, oh, Leo, but it's just funny. You know what I mean?
That'll
Like,
get you through the fucking
it was-
month.
it just was like, yo, that was so surreal. And then the funny thing was within this party, my stock went up because everyone then saw him come up to me only. And then he dipped and went to a private room to watch the Super Bowl with his girlfriend. And everybody then was coming up to me like, hey, so what's it? Because
You're Leo adjacent.
I was Leo adjacent.
You're Leo
That should be the name of this podcast.
Leo adjacent.
Hey, man, thanks for letting me talk about myself for an hour and 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're the best.
My
Thanks,
man.
brother. All right.